Hey, welcome back to Ozark Traditions TV. This is a new series we've launched. This is the DIY Deer Processing 101. This will be part 2. Part 1 was just a basic skinning job. And in part 2, I'm going to show you how to quarter the animal, pull the back straps out of her, and trim off any good remaining meat off of her. We don't want to waste anything. So let's just get right into pulling off the front shoulder. The front shoulders are not held on by the ball and socket like a hip, like the rear hips are. So as you can see, I like to cut this right down through here, and I'm going to go. See, you can see the muscles almost just tell you where to cut. So I'm just going to cut on down here. You can see there's the shoulder blade. So that was, I mean, right there is exactly, absolutely how easy it is to pull off a front shoulder. Now, guys, really, there's no need to waste a front shoulder. There's going to be, there's no roasts in it, but we're going to get a lot of ground, and it's going to make a lot of sausage and deer sticks in my house. So I'm going to go put that in the sink. When I come back, I'm going to show you how to take out the back straps. Okay, so that was just how easy it is to pull the front shoulders off of it. So right now, I'm going to get, these are lovingly known as the back straps or the tenderloins, but a lot of people don't know that right in here is the golden gem of that's the actual tenderloins. And, they're pretty short in this little gal, and they wasn't very big around, but they are absolutely tender. So those are the actual tenderloins. We'll call these tenderloins, we're going to call them back straps, and I'm going to show you how to take them out. So right here is actually her spine. So you can see the spine runs up through here. So I'm just going to make me a cut, and I'm going right down the spine. And if you'll listen, that's her old rib cage. So I'm just going to get her cut down to the rib cage, and I'll try my best to show you what's going on. It's going to end up being just right down here in front of the hips, and that's because I got my knife in there. You want to avoid the temptation to just rip them out, because what you'll do is you'll tear them, and then you'll leave a lot of meat. But you can see it right here. Can you see that, Matt? Mm-hmm. That's the actual horse. She's got her old loins right in there. So I sometimes just try to run my finger down that fat line, and it's just fat. So I'm going to cut that back. Gives you a better view of her tenderloin. And, we don't want to lose any of that. As you can see, it runs all the way up her neck. We'll pull her back straps out, and I'm going to come back and trim all this off. I can rinse this off with water. This is still good meat. People please don't waste it. Well, you just shouldn't waste. It's, Matt and I said it before, we're supposed to be good stewards of what God gives us. And right now, it's just deer. So I'm going to switch weapons to my fillet knife. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, and I'll turn it just a little bit, but I'm going to work my way right down the top of that rib cage. And when I get going here a little bit, I'll turn the camera to you. So you can see here that I don't want to pull it. See what happens? See how that we don't want that to happen. That's too good. If you'll take your time and don't get in a big hurry. It's almost falling out as quickly as I can pull it, because she's been hanging in my cooler for about 5 days. But you can see her rib cage there. My knife is I'm just butterflying it around. And as we go down, it's going to get bigger. So you want to make sure you're cutting bigger. And I'll try to get her spun back around for you to see. But as you see, I'm down here to where I made that cut. So I'm really just out of her tenderloin. So take that off. Right there is what everybody wants out of a deer, and I agree with them. But that's just a nice backstrap. She was so tender because it hung in the cooler. I mean, I can just pull her apart. So I'm going to set her in the sink over there. I'll come back and we'll get the other one. I'll go ahead and try to get this one out. It's like I said, she was shot in this side. This won't be as pretty, so I'll try to make this as tasteful as I can without, I don't want, people getting upset. I mean, they're watching a deer, they're watching an outdoor show, and you think they would be accustomed to what, well, I better take it back. If they're accustomed to seeing me kill deer on the show, that's probably not going to happen. It's not been going well. But if you heard me mention before about the way to know if your deer herd's getting pretty healthy, they got a lot to eat, that's a pretty good fat cap. Now, that is not good to eat. It is not good to render down. It is not good to fry in. It's a whole different kind of fat, and we're not going to eat that fat. So again, I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to run it right up that little muscle patch there, like I said, where her loin is. And I do sometimes use two different kinds of knives. I like this round blade sometime. And again, hear that? That's her rib cage. So I know I'm right on the money. I'm going down the backbone. And I'm going to go down to the bottom. If you don't take your inner loins out first, I would have just probably cut them in half. That's the first thing you want to take out of a deer when you get it home, or you're going to hang it up, is get those inners out. You're going to want to take them in and probably get the old grease going. So like I said, their spine is not round like you think a spine would be. It's basically a tall, slender. Can you see it, Matt, without it being just kind of gross? I mean, it's not gross, but that's her spine. There's her ribs. So usually when you spine shoot one, you do run the back straps. So I'm going to take her up. I'm just going to cut up in there until I kind of find out where the loin starts. Now see that separation in the muscles? That's the tail end of her loin right there. Like I said, sometimes you waste it, you cut it, and you mess it up. But you're going to come back and you're going to come back and take those little pieces off, and you're going to put them in your trimming pile, and you're going to put those in your grinder, and we're not wasting anything. I'm sorry about the camera. She's wanting to spin on me, but like I said, you got to be really careful. You just can't go pulling, because you sure don't want to lose any meat. Now then, I can do this. This is another way. I'm just trying to show everybody several ways, but like I said, once you get past where the meat gets bigger, you got to quit. And you want to cut. See how that just peeled right out? Whoop. Now then, what we'll do is, in part 3, I'll show you everybody how to remove the silver skins, and you can do one or two things. You can cut it up into what's called little medallions. You can cut it about yay wide and butterfly it. I like cutting them in thirds and putting them in my smoker. They're holy smoke, they're just about as good as you can get. So let me put this in the sink, and I'll be right back, and we'll take off the hindquarters. Okay, so far I've showed you just how easy it really is to quarter this animal. We're going to do the hindquarters, what I call the rear quarter panels. Again, there's really no right or wrong way to do it. You're going to do it and learn how to do it to get your cuts of meat. I pretty much grind mine head to toe minus the straps, because I do a lot of sausage and stuff. So I will go back and I will trim, and we'll go back and get the neck meat. We're not going to waste any. So you saw how easy it was to pull the shoulders. You saw how easy it was to take our old back straps out. And now we're gonna pull the the rear quarter panels off of it. So I usually bring her to me this way, and there is a bone. So you know you're not going to cut through it. You got to come down in here, and you'll just kind of have to follow it around, and that takes it all the way to the tail. And you got to find the bone. Here again, it's right there. So I've got to come in under it best I can, and I'm just going to go across and directly. Like I said, I'll go back and clean it up. You just kind of got to get in there and feel around with your knife, because unlike the front shoulder, here's the ball and socket for the rear quarter panels. So once you get that loose, I mean, it's going to fall down, and all you can see is that's still bone. So you're just going to try to get under it best you can. You got to follow it down. And I usually try to pull a little bit as I go, and it's still going around. So I'm going to try not to drop this in front of everybody. So right there is a really nice ham. Like I say, in part 3, I'm going to show everybody how to debone it. Roasts, steaks, whatever you want. I will come back and trim all of this off because I don't like it. I don't like that at all. And it'll be a nice clean cut of meat. So there's one. Okay, we're back for number 2. Like I said, there's a bone in there. You can hear it. You're just trying to follow down with your knife. Cut it in. What you do not want to do is take your knife and try to pry that ball and socket open, because you're gonna run your blade. You'll chip it. Nobody told me that. I had to run a blade to find that out. So anyway, like I said, you're just following the bone, and it's still. I'm trying to just come in underneath it. Anything that I leave on, I'm going to come back off the carcass and get it. I'm just following that. I think they even call that an H bone, but it comes all the way out to the end. So really, I got a little bit of trimmings. I didn't waste a lot. My processing style is really just for grind, but that's not saying that I can't cut these into steaks, cut these into roasts, whatever I want, because this will be an excellent piece of meat. It's aged 4 or 5 days in my walk-in at about 36 degrees. So I'm going to put this in the sink, and when I come back, we're going to try to clean up off of her what we can. We're not going to waste. All right, so here we are. We're back. I'm going to drag my table over. Got me some nice little handy meat lugs, and that's really what they're for. Unfortunately, the other side's kind of a wash. I'm going to save what I can, but it's really not going to be anything there. So I'm still on the spine up to here. Now then, if this was something bigger, I might have a neck roast or something like that. But with this old girl right here, there's just not going to be much. But now you're just actually, you're just really, there's ribs. You're just kind of following the body contours, and you're just trying to get what meat you can. I'll clean that up. I'm not going to be able to use all of it. I'm just not, because it's fat on it, bloodshot, and some things like that. But like this, you may be going, well, Todd, that's kind of silly. Well, you know what? It may be, but I'm just going to get it out of there just because I can. Now that I'm just going to clean up some of this flank stuff, because that'll still be good meat. I just don't know what's going to be, in the ribs. She took it through the ribs. So if you looked at the rib meat, it's really, really, really not worth the effort on a smaller deer. A bigger buck, yeah, there is some actual rib meat in here now. I may come back later on tonight and pick through this some more. And I probably will, just because I don't want to waste, and I don't have any deer. So a guy is going to give me part of this, so I'm just taking care of it. So really, I'm going to go back and trim this up a little bit better. You don't need to see it. You spend as much time on yours as you think you should. I just encourage you not to waste. And then in the state of Missouri, I also encourage you to look at the CWD laws about disposing of the carcass. I've been hearing so many things. I'll tell you what, that's just the proverbial dead horse and whatever. But, okay, I'm going to come back and take my fillet knife and I'll get some of this stuff and some of this stuff and I'll clean it up the best that I can. So that's going to end part 2. So if you get a chance, if you'll just subscribe and go ahead and like it, I know you hear it, and hit the notification and then go back and watch DIY Processing 101 Part 1. It just shows you a real simple way to skin. And again, disclaimer, Matt's disclaimer, I'm not a professional butcher. I'm saving myself a lot of money every year. So anyway, part 2 was how to quarter the animal. Easy way to pull the straps out, and we're going to go ahead and pick it clean. Part 3 will be how to debone, because most people don't have a saw. So we're going to show you how to debone it and separate good into trimmings. And then part 4 will be grinding up what's left and stuffing it into bags. We're going to use, you can probably see it back there, we're going to use the meat brand products. Just over the years, I've just buy a piece and buy a piece and buy a piece every year. So now that I've got it all that I want to do, I can do these things and it's not so much trouble. But anyway, don't forget to check out part 1. Subscribe so you can see part 3 coming up. We want you to save money. It's just real easy to save money. And I guarantee you one thing. I can promise you this. Matt will tell you. You'll get your own deer back. Right, Matt? You'll get your own deer back. You do it yourself. But, all right, I'm gonna clean it up. We're going to go. But I just, like we've always said it, Matt Smith and I have always said it, and we mean it. If you see us out somewhere in God's country, stop us. Because Matt and I'd like to meet you. And click that notifications. Part 3 is coming.
From all of us at Ozark Traditions TV, we thank you for watching. And remember, if you see us out in God's country, stop us. We'd like to meet you.